sleep. Our caring staff teach life skills, offer stability, and encourage kids to believe in themselves so they stay off the streets for good. We're committed to giving lost, scared, and hurting children a place to go, a place to call home. To help or get help, go to safeplacetosleep.org.
I heard the call to serve, so I answered. I earned a title and discovered my purpose. I found belonging, an unbreakable bond with my fellow Marines. We fought to overcome adversity together in defense of our nation and its people. I've lived a full life, rich with meaning. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will always look after those around me. I will always uplift and support my country and my community. Because that is the promise I made. That is what it means to be a Marine. Semper Fidelis. Always faithful, always Marine.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. Waking up every day, lifting him from the bed to the wheelchair to the car to get him to therapy on time, it's no small task between the doctors and the diagnosis, but nothing can disable this love. This is my big brother, my hero. He's part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. See, there's no time for tired. This starts again tomorrow. He'll be waiting for me. I wake up for him. I know he needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community, or call 877-333-5885. Caregiving Resource Center. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DM Mariana, Howard FC, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Transmission starts in 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from the Rib Crib Radio Room. The Afternoon Underdogs are taking your calls live. 850-215-6290. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome into the Rib Crib Radio Room after a beautiful weekend this weekend. Hopefully everybody was out there enjoying themselves. I was in the water per usual, man. Love getting out to the creek at this point in time of the year. I'm David Hayes. We've got Boston Tim in the building. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, also 102.1 FM in the Mariana area. And we've just got some breaking news. Aaron Donald is playing football next year. He just agreed to a 2-year, $60 million contract extension. So the Rams got one of their biggest obstacles out of the way, and now they have the biggest, or one of the strongest obstacles in the NFL on the defensive front side of the ball.
Absolutely. 9-9 is going to be continuing to set the pace for all people in that position on the end. He's just unbelievable, and you really want to get that out of the way early so there is no, you don't want to have any hard feelings or have any animosity coming into the season with the absolute best player in the position when you know you can just simply accommodate the numbers for him and make it happen.
Yeah,
they did. It was a great decision.
It was the only decision, right? Because otherwise, he said he's content with where his career is right now. It wasn't even the Super Bowl championship that brought his contentment. It was, in his mind, when he first started playing pro ball, he was going to play 8 years. Well, now, I mean, you got to pay the guy, right? Absolutely. And they did a great job. And the quarterbacks in the NFC West are going to be dealing with that for at least the next 2 years.
That's right. Half the season they're going to be having to look right across from him. So, interesting decision for him to stay. He didn't need to. He had a plan, and he decided, you know what, this little cash grab for 3 or 4 more years, I'm in. Let's do it. So, good for him. You know what I'm saying? Get that bag. Generational money. He'll take care of his grandkids, so good for him. It's worth it.
No doubt about it. In the world of college football, we've got the Hall of Fame ballot coming out. Tim Tebow, Alex Smith, Ryan Leaf highlight the first-time candidates on there. There's about 80 players, 96 from the FBS, 96 players, and 33 coaches from all of the divisional ranks. It was emailed today to more than 12,000 National Football Foundation members and current Hall of Famers who've got till June 30th to put their vote in. The newest inductees are going to be announced in early 2023. Some other names of note are Oklahoma State wide receiver Justin Blackman, Oklahoma linebacker Rocky Kalmus, Penn State running back Kai Jana Carter, Oregon running back LaMichael James, Boston College linebacker too soon from the league in his retirement, and Luke Kuechly. Oklahoma defensive lineman Dewey Selman, and Memphis running back D'Angelo Williams. You also have Reggie Bush, Tim Couch, Warwick Dunn from Florida State, Dwight Freeney, and Ray Lewis are all holdovers from ballots in previous years. So this is a big, notable Hall of Fame class.
I wonder what makes them a holdover. Do you know anything about that?
Well, they probably didn't receive the threshold of votes. Kind of like Andrew Jones in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He was at 41%, so he probably will make it, but not that year. But when you read those names...
I'm just thinking that paragraph has some names in it that's like,
I mean,
wait, what?
Exactly. At the college level, especially. I mean, all of these guys did it at an amazing level at the pro level. But, I mean, you say Ray Lewis isn't in the College Hall of Fame. I get work done. Unbelievable at Florida State. And Reggie Bush, I kind of get, but we've already taken everything away from him. Give him his just due. Like, what happened off the field had nothing to do with, and it's not like he did anything slanderous against the rules. Yes.
It's the same way I feel about Pete.
Yeah.
He got the hits before any of the issues came about.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? I can see him not going in as a manager.
Yeah.
But as a player, you can't take away that number. That's an unbelievable number. What is going on?
And Ray Lewis with Miami. I mean, that one just doesn't make any sense how that guy's not in there. We're on the radio 104.3 FM, 102.1 FM in Marianna. We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and with our TV partner, Blab TV. If you don't have their channel with your TV service provider, you can get their app or channel on your Fire Stick or Roku TV device. Be sure and like and share our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and download the new app and register all at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. 850-215-6290 is the number to call, even if you just want to tell Boston Sim hello. Who was in the championship game in the College World Series with the Miami Hurricanes all the way back in 2001? I'm even going to give you choices here. South Carolina, LSU, Stanford, or Cal State Fullerton. 850-215-6290 for your chance to win some great stuff.
Yeah, that's a good question right there. An easy one for a college football fan to pick off right there and get you a
college
good price.
baseball. College baseball.
Excuse me.
And we're doing that in honor of the College World Series, which has had a wild and wacky weekend. Lots of runs scored. I believe, what was it? Oklahoma State put up 26 in a singular game. Very high scoring. Some of them look like football scores. And you still got a long road to go when they finish it up today. I think the last game is tonight at 9 o'clock. But we do have some winners in the regionals moving on to the supers, and we'll go over those today at 5:15 or 5:45.
Great. We'll talk about Josh Hatcher then. Can we go back to the Hall of Fame ballots?
Absolutely.
Can you explain to me what it is that the people have to do in order to get into the College Hall of Fame?
Well, they got to get voted in. They're eligible if they've got 10 full seasons from their final year. So once their last year of college football, they played their last year of college football, then they've got to have 10 seasons removed from there, and then they've got to receive first-team All-American honors by organizations that are recognized by the NCAA. And for the coaches, it's just a little bit different. They've only got 3 full seasons after retirement, or immediately after retirement if they are at least 70 years old.
Right. I saw the ones with the coaches. That was interesting. They also said that they had to coach for a minimum of 10 full seasons, and within those seasons, they also had to have coached a minimum of 100 games. Of course, for whatever reason, if one of those coaches were out for COVID, family illnesses, or whatever it may have been, they would have still in that 10-year time frame have had to have had coached at least 100 games, and also having a winning percentage higher than 600. So very interesting to see the reasons, or not, excuse me, not reasons, but eligibilities needed in order for them to get in.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We got Coach Olds on the line playing some trivia today. Coach Olds, who was in the championship game, College World Series against Miami, all the way back in 2001?
That is Stanford, Coach.
Yes, sir. You're absolutely right. Hey, Coach Olds, we're going to be getting you some great gifts, and you want to pick those up today or sometime later this week?
I can pick up today, probably.
All right, Coach. I'll see you here in a little bit.
All right, see you.
Thanks,
Yes,
Coach.
sir. Coach Olds, man, what a job that guy does. What an amazing human being as well. Also, it's June 6th. What does that mean to you?
Always on point right there.
Well, June 6th, D-Day.
D-Day.
It's D-Day, yeah, man. So storming the Omaha beaches of Normandy. So
yeah, what are the numbers there? 120,000 Americans, I believe, stormed the beach that very first day, June 6th. Yeah, it's the day before my little sister's birthday. Shout out, Kayla. Happy birthday tomorrow, sweetheart.
There we go. The number of lawsuits now with Deshaun Watson is up to 24. That's like 2 more lawsuits.
He's heating up.
Yikes. Man, I'm such a proponent of innocent till proven guilty, so I'm not going to throw any shade. But with this last one, some of the reports that are coming from this, the reason she's even putting her case into the mix with the other 23 cases is because he says, he has no regrets. He's done nothing wrong. So, this one is one of the, I don't want to say most graphic, but man. And then with what Deshaun Watson's attorney said on a Houston radio station about the legality circumstances of happy endings, if you will. So it is not looking good for Deshaun Watson. Like I said, innocent till proven guilty. He said on March 25th that he's never disrespected any woman. So, you put a great post out on Facebook earlier today. We can hear your words, but we're starting to be able to see the actions that were demonstrated behind closed doors with these young masseuses. So, I don't know. This is going to be a wild situation. I've said before on this show that if there is truth, if there is merit to these accusations, I want to see him out for 2 years. Not because I think he deserves 2 years necessarily, because that's a long suspension, but because of the manipulation of the contract to get the first year down to $1 million and then moving on. Like I said, though, innocent till proven guilty. I'm not throwing any stones. We'll just have to see how it all plays out. Where's your headline in this situation now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. If it all comes down to it, and they find out, that all the allegations are true, or even if one of the allegations is true, it's not just his reputation that is being harmed. It's also the reputation of probably the biggest sports league in all of the United States. And so they need to not only take the time away from him, but him take the time away from them. And he needs to heal himself. He needs to go to therapy. He needs to get those things fixed and corrected if that's a possibility, and that's for professionals to be able to determine. That's not something I can determine. But I think that's at least a course of action in which they would need to forcibly put him on in order for him to be able to have the liberty to come back on the field and make the $250 million or whatever his contract was.
Yeah. Okay, man, Rick, welcome into the Rib Crib Radio Room. What's going on, my friend?
Just chilling. Just heard you guys talking about the D-Day anniversary, too, while I was just getting in. And just want to give a shout-out to my deceased great-grandpa Crumb, who was actually on those beaches, on Omaha Beach, on D-Day in Normandy, France. And he was shot 7 times, and he survived. And
Awesome.
he was tough as nails, and they don't make people like that anymore. He's not around anymore, but, man, I remember him, and he was a bad dude. And you wouldn't have known it by looking at him, but he can go through some stuff and deal with some stuff. So big ups to those guys.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You're 1,000%, and they don't make them like that anymore. Professor Plum says 2 years is not enough. He deserves 3. I don't know if we can talk about deserving yet, Professor Plum. We do, but for me, it's really just the manipulation of the contract that I'm having the biggest issue with. Not that I don't have an issue with the other things going on. We're we're trying to sort through this and get to the truth.
But right,
of the
I'm with
matter.
you. It's like they obviously manipulated the contract because they know that he's guilty, and they want to make sure that he's still going to get the money, so that way they'll get the compensation on the field from
Exactly.
him. And it's just, it's asinine to think that they wouldn't let the rules, not the rules, but let the decision be made, and then figure things out afterwards.
Yeah, and going back to October, the Dolphins had a trade in line for Deshaun Watson, and he has been on record saying he doesn't want to settle. He doesn't want to settle. Well, then no, it's not. It's not that you don't want to settle. It's that you can't settle anymore because 18 of the 22 young ladies agreed to the NDA. 4 of them didn't. So with that being said, the Dolphins were like, well, if you can't get all 22, we're not going to be able to move forward with this. So there has to be some element of guilt there. We'll figure it out, though. We're not the judge. We're not the jury here.
Right. And by the time we get to that point, that point in the case, who knows how many more people are going to come out. It's been everything for 24 women to come out. You can only imagine, no offense, but how many don't have the courage?
It could be twice as many.
Absolutely. There could be 48 right now, back in Houston or in the surrounding areas that are going through the same issues but don't have the mental strength to come out and say something about
it. I saw a lot of people bashing. They haven't released the 24th lady's name, I don't believe, but bashing the situation of why didn't you just leave? Dude, especially for us dudes, right? We don't understand that situation. You know what I'm saying? Like that is such a that is such a hard thing to wrap your head around, and if you don't know, if you can't be empathetic to it, right? So why open your mouth about it? Anyways, Barrett Townsend wants to know, what else does Aaron Donald have to do to be known as the best defensive player
of all time, or currently? Currently, I would say he is.
I would say currently, right? TJ Watt is.
Yeah, I would say
longevity.
Statistics is all it really needs to be.
I mean, he's no Reggie White yet.
Yeah, there's too many Strahans and Reggie Whites and Freeneys that played 16, 17, 19, 21, 22 seasons that no matter how much you dominated over the course of 8 or 9 years, it really doesn't add up statistically to what those guys provided over the course of 20.
Yeah, like I said, just needs more time. If he keeps going the way he's been going and projecting, then he probably will be.
Right.
But, like, if he gets hit by a bus tomorrow and doesn't play another down, I don't think he is.
Yeah, I mean, can you absolutely say he was the most dominant player of the 20 teens and early 20s? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Of all time, he's not even on the list yet.
Yeah, it's
it is what it is.
Very similar to Steph Curry.
Exactly.
Well, depending on because if you're talking about Steph in today's game with the players that are playing right now, he's top 50, right?
Yes.
To you, to me, he's top 5. But for you, top 50.
I say he's top
but
10.
then when you,
I would say he's right around 15, 18. Yes.
Of current players? That is interesting to me, man. He's been the best player on the court.
If you're just saying
2 nights in a row.
Best offensive players.
Yeah, because of the lack of defense.
Top 5.
Yeah.
I'll listen to this guy because he follows basketball a lot more similar. Like if I have some argument like NHL, somebody might tend to listen to me a little bit more because of my background. So, I mean, matter of fact, this guy was scolding me yesterday and using church names.
I can't believe you made me do that. I can't believe it. Richard.
Richard. Oh, my goodness,
my
man.
feelings.
We got to get to a break. If we can revisit, or maybe next Monday.
To Barrett, though. Barrett and I were discussing it on Facebook.
Yeah.
And, he said, that Curry averages just over 2 steals per game, and he had 3 last night. But in the defense that I used when I was discussing with him was that, he puts himself in a good position, but he's not actually the guy that creates those defensive steals. He's the one that's in the position to take those. He does a good job on dropping down in the zone and being in a position where if a guy's dishing off to a corner 3-pointer or something like that, he's right there to steal it. Or if any time there's a touch at all, he's very quick with his hands and feet, and he can cover 7 or 8 feet and grab that open ball. He's very good at that. But as far as sitting down in a chair and playing defense, he's
no Marcus Smart.
Bottom 50.
Marcus Smart, man.
But that whole team in general, though, the ball movement and the way they move around when they don't even have the ball, they're constantly doing something and moving around. So that kind of makes it a little bit easier to do stuff like that.
Right, and it makes players that typically aren't a threat when they move like that and they create the openings and they do the pick and rolls on and off the ball like you see Looney and those guys doing. It really makes players that aren't great look great.
Yeah.
And they do that very, very well. Probably the best in the NBA.
Man,
for sure.
I'm really excited to talk a little bit more about the NBA Finals when we get back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Caveman, Rick, Boston, Sam. I'm David Hayes. We're going to take a short hiatus, pay a couple of bills. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Dan Patrick Show.
We talk about experience. The Boston Celtics, they don't have any experience in the finals. Golden State lost 2 championships and lost them to rookie coaches, Nick Nurse and Ty Lue. We didn't say anything about that. And guess who's a rookie this year? Ime Udoka, who is the Boston Celtics head coach.
Dan Patrick.
Weekday mornings, 9 to 11, ESPN Northwest Florida.
My forecast overnight for the entire listening area, any showers of thunderstorms ending, becoming partly to mostly clear by morning in the low 70s, a south wind about 10. Mostly sunny Tuesday, mostly sunny Wednesday. The temperature very close to 90 degrees each afternoon, southwest wind about 10 to 15. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
At Slim Chickens, craft means something. Craft means bacon. And oh so crispy. Craft means a good cayenne kick. And all-natural buttermilk marinated, made fresh, perfectly fried chicken. All served on toasted brioche buns. At Slim Chickens, craft means quality. And for a limited time, try our new Memphis-style barbecue chicken sandwich. Try Slim's Craft Sandwiches today. Slim Chickens.
Did you know that fees associated with real estate closings are virtually the same from one title company to the next? So what sets South Oak Title apart? Effective communication, customer service, expertise, and technology. If you're buying or selling real estate, refinancing a residential or commercial property, tell your realtor you want to close with South Oak Title. South Oak Title, with locations across the Southeast, including Panama City Beach, Inlet Beach, Destin, and Fort Walton Beach. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
Hi, I'm Tracy, your diamond girl at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Shopping for the perfect diamond can be difficult, but that's why I've trained my staff to be helpful and to offer you a stress-free diamond experience. Pick your sparkle and use our easy layaway plan. Every woman deserves an exquisite diamond from your diamond girl at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. We don't work on commissions.
We work for smiles and I-dos.
So if you're tired of high-pressure salespeople, stop by and see us today at Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
From Mariana to Panama City, from Southport to Laguna Beach, this is the Panhandle's home for live and local sports coverage. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, live from the Rib Crib Radio Room. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, and you're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Right State Chris says Aaron Donald needs to get a time machine and exist before Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor, Joe Green, etc. to be considered the best ever.
Right, which is
fair statement.
It's the same context in which are the same sentiment that we're talking about.
Not everybody's on the front line.
You have to have that time.
He's got there, but yeah.
Right, and like he said, you'd have to go back in time for him to be able to play the time frame that we're talking about for 18 years, 19 years. And it's the same concept. If he plays for 10 more seasons, we're probably going to see that. We'll probably see him up there as one of the top 5, especially if he can stay even remotely close to the consistency in which he's given us in the first 8.
Yeah, winning another Super Bowl or 2 would help too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and that's definitely going to be a part of the takeaway, right? Your championships.
He's got 1 loss. He's got 1 win. Right now.
I mean, where is TJ Watt going to end up, though? If he can, because he seems to be like the only Watt brother that can actually stay healthy for 14 games a year.
And again, it's probably going to be, how long he stays in the league and if Pittsburgh can hopefully win. If he doesn't win any championships, sure, he can be up there and get that status, but it'll take a lot more, and it'll take a lot of that longevity and a lot of those big numbers.
Well, let's get into the NBA Finals, but first let me tell you about one of the best handyman services out there, Bay Handyman Services. They listen better, they plan better, and they build better. 850-753-5014. They have 24/7 emergency services, and you can reach them on their website as well, bayhandymanservices.com. They hold a 5-star rating. Anything from hanging pictures to full house remodels. We'll probably talk about this 2 or 3 times today, but you were out at Tri-State this week for the run with the Tonka truck. That's Ryan Phillips, the Tonka truck. Tell me about how the weekend went.
Yeah, Ryan is great guy, like we've discussed before. Wife Teresa and son Jacob, the kids are all out there together. We're having a nice barbecue, a great day out there at the Tri-State Mud Bog Park in Clarksville on 73. It was a great time. We go out there every other Saturday, and once a month we'll do a big barbecue and things like that. We had 5 or 6 different types of meats out there and a bunch of sides, and just a great time. We had probably 25 or 30 people bring out some sidekicks and some golf carts and four-wheelers and dirt bikes, and we just got dirty and had some fun. We'll have to get you out of that clean creek one of these times and come have some fun in the mud.
Dirt bike or four-wheeler?
Oh, I just learned how to ride 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't even rode a dirt bike yet.
I've
only ridden 2 different types of four-wheelers, automatic and a manual, and that's all I've done so far.
I haven't rode a dirt bike in a long time because my little brother used to have a 100, and so I get on that. I'll get on a 125, but you ain't put me on a 250. My other buddy's got a 450, and I ain't even thinking about getting on that old Suzuki, man, because that thing is
in
wild.
Philly, they'll ride them on the streets out there. It's no big deal. They'll arrest you in Boston for that. I don't know what the difference is in the mandates and things like that.
They can still arrest you in Philly. Is it street legal or is it not street legal is the big question. And if it's not, you just got to get lucky, I guess, and hope that, the right cop goes by. The only time I've ever rode them, actually, because of being from the city life, for the most part, when I lived overseas in the Azores, my uncle actually has a car dealership over there, and he's into, all kinds of stuff. My cousins had some scooters. They had some, three-wheelers. So my first time riding when I was 15 years old was on a Renault three-wheeler.
Wow. Oh, a three-wheeler. Those things ain't even legal these days.
And, I remember getting on it and picking up that front tire and going straight back on my ass because, all the weight's on the rear end,
Absolutely.
And I was like, wow, I got to watch that. Be careful,
you got to lean forward. Yeah. I watched a couple guys on them on Saturday. They're interesting.
Ooh, man, let's get into some NBA Finals. Big Boston Celtics fan and Boston Tim. Great series so far, tied up at 1-1 heading into Game 3 Wednesday. TD Garden going to be a that's at 8 o'clock our time, start time. Wednesday is when they're playing. So what was your biggest takeaway from Game 2 Boston T?
Oh, just like we've seen throughout the entire playoffs from both teams, really, is inconsistency.
Yep.
Right? We saw both teams start off, completely opposite in games 1 and games 2, firing off really hard, getting ahead by 10, 12 points, and then not being able to sustain their leads, coming into a 2-point lead at halftime both times. Right? And then going off third quarters, busting out, and then for us, the fourth quarter was really great. In the first game, for them, the third quarter was really great, and we were flat. In the second and third quarter, we only put up 34 points, but they were flat just as well in the second quarter and the fourth quarter, and they only put up 41 total points.
Right.
Where we've seen Boston do that just in the fourth quarter, right, in Game 1. So the biggest thing that I've noticed so far is a lack of consistency. The only thing that we saw consistency with so far from Boston was what shouldn't be consistent, and they had the same amount of field goals as they did three-pointers.
Yeah.
You cannot have that. You can't have that. You can't have your starting and your backup center in Robert Williams and Al Horford only put up a total of 4 points. That's asinine. It lacks consistency.
When I looked at the box score, I was like, was I watching this game? They only scored 2 points for real?
Right. And Tatum's not going to only have 12 points back-to-back games. We knew he was going to come out and put up 28, but you can't put up 28 and only give up 5 assists. You have to be more consistent throughout the entirety of your game.
So would you rather see...
lack of consistency is the big thing.
Would you rather see Tatum with more assists than... You know what I mean? Would you rather see him with 15 and 13, 15 points, 13 assists,
Absolutely.
Or 28 and 5?
Absolutely, because 28 and 5, even if those 5 assists are all three-pointers, right, you're still only talking about 43 points. If you have 13 and half of those are three-pointers with 15 points, you're talking about 50-something points. So it's all about what you're doing with those assists. And for us, we're going to put buckets in. We're not going to shoot as many threes as we did this last game.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a little more consistent, hopefully, for the duration of the playoffs. But, man, it's been rough.
Yeah, that's, you have that big high from Game 1. And so the way that these playoffs have been going, anytime that a team is high for one game, then it just seems like they get knocked down to the humbles the next game. And then the other team is on the high for that, till Game 3, the Golden State Warriors will be riding that high. And who knows what are you expecting from Game 3 Wednesday evening?
Well, I think that both teams are going to come out firing, and it's going to come down to who plays better defense, I think. And hopefully at home we'll be invigorated and have, the sixth man with us there. And while we do have one of the smaller crowds in the NBA, we think it's probably one of the more raucous, environments for anybody to really go into. And that's really in all Boston sports, and really similar in Philly. When you have the teams that might not always have been the best, you might have the fans that are always the most aggressive. And I feel like that's kind of how it is when you go into the Garden. And so as long as we play great defense and we have, the sixth man on our side, I think we'll have a good opportunity to come away with the W in this one. I do, however, believe that we'll, at the very least, split this homestand.
Any takeaways?
I just think that they don't really have to change much. Just keep doing what they've been doing. I mean, the first game, was like a differences of 4 different quarters. A feeling out process early, then, Golden State comes out ahead, and then the Celtics come back and get them. This last game, like you were just talking about, how, Celtics just didn't have their game together. It seemed like they were just off. Is that to Golden State's point of like their prowess of playing defense, or is just the Celtics having an off night? I don't know. I really can't tell you which way that would go in that game. But if they just keep holding the course, I don't see why they wouldn't have a chance in this series.
Yeah.
I mean, with what they've done already this whole regular season and in the playoffs now, why change it up?
Yeah, I saw Shannon Sharp with an interesting stat that said this is the first NBA Finals teams that going back to 1975, or the second team since 1975 set of teams that have led by 15 points and also lost by double digits in the finals. So both teams did that in game 1 and in game 2, reversed.
Do we think? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
If they kept it on a fair enough schedule, like the NHL playing every other night, do we think that might make it a difference in these series? I mean, given some teams extra rest, or actually the time to build up rust, if you will,
right?
As opposed to just playing a normal routine schedule. I mean, in the NHL and in the NBA, they play 3 to 4 games a week. That's every other night. So why are you going to change it up in the playoffs? I just don't understand.
Agreed. How much do you really need to stretch it out?
Right.
It's no difference. You see, like you're saying, you see these guys travel that same amount during the regular season, but twice as much, because they might have to go to California and then up to Toronto, then down to Miami, and then back to Boston. So just the same flights back and forth is no reason for them to have extra time off, which, like you said, could either cause rust or cause them to be refurbished.
Yeah, my initial thinking on that was scheduling purposes, because now ESPN they have the rights to the Eastern Conference Finals. So game 4 for the Eastern Conference Finals is going to be Tuesday. You know what I mean? I wonder if it had anything to do with how that's all set up. But the more that I look at it, like, no, I mean, because they could have played a game. I don't know, because Tuesday they're on ESPN.
I think it does come down to some of that'll be a portion of it, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're putting the algorithms in that are going to determine for them what days and time frames are best for them to make the most money, to have the most viewers, right? That's what's most important.
But if hockey players are playing every other night,
and it's tougher,
basketball players should definitely be playing every other night.
It's not the players.
Yes, right.
It's the people that are above
Do you
them
think
that
the
are
players
setting it up.
would rather play every other night?
I think so.
I don't know. They got load management now, so I don't know if they want to.
Hold on, Caveman.
Yeah, as a player, I wanted to play more. I wanted to be there more consistently. I didn't play professional basketball. I played semi-pro football, pro volleyball, but no, I mean, for me, you don't want to be at rest at all if you don't have to.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to keep your body consistently fluid.
Yeah. Go ahead,
and like you're saying, consistently fluid. You don't have the chance to build up rust. It's more routine, creature of habit kind of thing. Yesterday, too, something that kind of bugged me a little bit. Okay, so you had the Tampa Bay and Ranger game last night, and then you got the Golden State Celtic game last night, both starting at the same time.
Right.
Like, they can't get together and, take turns on a weekend day where, one league plays a little bit earlier in the day and the other one plays later. That way they both have their individual time slot.
That's the setup that they're going for. That I'm trying to steal your
both
your viewers.
Playoff games last night. That's what I'm saying. But make it earlier in the day. Both games last night came on the same time. The hockey game.
No, it did not.
Didn't they 7 o'clock?
No, the hockey game. You were texting more than anybody in the group. The hockey game was at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay, so it was another day. But anyways,
it was no. There's been I think 2 or 3 days. Yeah.
But again, why are you going to do that? Because we were saying, you're going to steal viewership.
Game 1.
Mm-hmm.
Game 1. Okay, my bad. But yeah, there's enough time now. There's enough TV channels and whatnot.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Right.
So everybody can watch games. If you like hockey and you like basketball, you don't have to have 2 screens going on where you're listening to one game.
No, we're not all David Hayes.
My eyes always gravitate to hockey.
Sports bar where you can't hear anything. You're just watching 2 different TVs and not having any sound, Get with it.
Get with it.
Right.
I mean,
just takes a little bit of money. No, you're not wrong.
Or disagree? I mean, I don't know, but that's just me. I mean, I'd rather see it that way.
I'm with you.
We got to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to be talking about the race yesterday in St. Louis, some NASCAR with Dr. Tom.
This is your captain speaking. Thank you for flying with ESPN Northwest Florida. Please return to your seats, buckle up, and prepare for launch.
He struck him out. Max Fried leaves the bases loaded.
The defending world champion Atlanta Braves are sponsored by PCB Coins and Cards, Guthrie's Fit Culture, Panama City Toyota, Brock's Pest Control, and ESPN Northwest Florida. And we apologize for any turbulence you've experienced this season with the Atlanta Braves.
Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, this is Tim.
Do y'all sell bait?
Yes, we seasonally stock live shrimp, live bull minnows, live sand fleas, live fiddler crabs, earthworms, night crawlers, crickets. We also stock frozen shrimp, sand fleas, mullets, squid, pre-rigged ballyhoo, bonita, stingray, cigar minnows, Boston mackerel, Spanish mackerel, and a few other miscellaneous baits. It's worth the drive to buy premium locally sourced bait from Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, located directly off Highway 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs, with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5, and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food, on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Did you know that fees associated with real estate closings are virtually the same from one title company to the next? So what sets South Oak Title apart? Effective communication, customer service, expertise, and technology. If you're buying or selling real estate, refinancing a residential or commercial property, tell your realtor you want to close with South Oak Title. South Oak Title, with locations across the Southeast, including Panama City Beach, Inlet Beach, Destin, and Fort Walton Beach. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
Signworks, a business serving businesses since 1985. Everything from signs and banners, vehicles and boats, magnetic and real estate signs, contractor signs, and much more. Signworks can do large format, full color printing too. Signworks, a real professional in the business world. Call Signworks at 785-8899. Signworks, 850-785-8899.
Now back to the most dangerous afternoon show on terrestrial radio.
Danger's my middle name.
It's illegal in 5 states. The Afternoon Underdogs, inside the Rib Crib Radio Room. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
It's the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes. We've got Caveman Rick, Boston Tim in the building with us, and on the phone line here in the Rib Crib Radio Room, we've got Dr. Tom talking some NASCAR with us. Dr. T, what's going on?
Hey, guys. Good to hear your voice. Good to be on with you. You got a full crew there today, it sounds like.
Yes, man, what a blessing it is to have a full crew as well. So, Dr. T, man, the track there in St. Louis means a lot to you. That's you've been there 3 different times. Tell us about the race. Give us a little recap of the race yesterday.
Well, I was so excited with the way that race went off yesterday. They've never had a NASCAR Cup race at that track, and they've had the Truck Series there. They've had the Xfinity Series there, the IndyCar Series races there. But St. Louis sold that place out. 57,000 sold-out tickets, and that was so good to see. And the race itself was really, really good. There was a lot of passing. There was a lot of slingshot passing, which I like to see. You don't see that on a lot of the tracks. And it just was real enjoyable. I know the crowd loved it. The promoter was elated with the crowd that they had. I can almost virtually guarantee you that they'll take them back there again next year. So, good race overall.
That is some great stuff. Give us a breakdown of the beef with Ross Chastain. He had 2 of them. One with Denny Hamlin, a little run-in with Denny Hamlin, putting him into the wall, and then Chase Elliott as well.
I'm glad you brought that up. I was hoping to talk about that. Yeah, I think Ross is a great driver. I mean, I think he's showing that, and he's getting stronger and stronger. But he's getting a little bit of a bad boy reputation. kind of like Keselowski used to be, and well, I guess for that matter, Kyle Busch had that reputation too. Dale Sr. had that reputation. I guess you saw there, Chastain basically had to apologize at the end of the race. That he said, both those incidents were his fault. And I guess when they came out of the pits one time, Chase Elliott just ran straight into the back of him to let him know he's right behind him. So, but Chastain's a great driver. You're going to see a lot more of him get wins. I'm real excited because we got such a talented group of young drivers now in the Cup Series. It just makes it a lot more exciting.
You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We're chatting NASCAR with Dr. Tom. So, Dr. Tom, just because you won the race doesn't mean you ran the best race. In your opinion, who had the best race in St. Louis yesterday at Gateway?
Well, believe it or not, Chastain was one of the guys that was quite competitive there. Reddick was competitive. But, Logano and Kyle Busch really were they were and late in the race, they were the stars. And there's nothing I like better than on the restart to watch Logano get around Kyle Busch. I'm not the biggest Logano fan either, but I certainly would rather see him win than Kyle. So you know how I feel about that.
Yeah, we absolutely do, Dr. Tom. And listen, I know you brought up already, and thank you again, Dr. T, for joining us. This is Boston T on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We greatly appreciate you joining us every Monday, sir. I know you discussed it coming into St. Louis, and I think they really did a great job for their first impression. And, I really enjoyed a couple of things that happened before the race. One of them, on the turn 3 on the pace lap, they had the huge pyrotechnics display. I thought that was really cool. And then, of course, being one of the great American memories, I think every year you see in Super Bowl ads and things like that is the Budweiser Clydesdales that they trotted out there on the racetrack. I thought that was really cool. And, I wanted to know if you had any additives like the Blue Angels or the Bagpipers at Indy that we talk to every year that you really enjoy outside of the, maybe the non-racing portion of NASCAR. What's your favorite thing throughout the season?
Well, I have to say I agree with you about the Clydesdales. My wife rarely watches any of the race with me, and she just happened to be sitting there when they brought the Clydesdales out on the track. And, being a St. Louis boy at heart, I used to tell people that I grew up there, but I never grew up. I was raised there. And, Anheuser-Busch is to St. Louis what Coca-Cola is to Atlanta. It's just, it's the biggest industry. I think it was exciting. I agree with you. I think the pyrotechnics were good. They had 2 free concerts, one before the race and one after the race. The guy that's the promoter of that track really goes all out, and he deserves kudos and a big round of applause from this fan. It came off very well yesterday.
That's awesome. I know my grandfather always said you have to grow old, but you don't have to grow up, and I've always tried to live by that motto.
There you go. I like that.
Dr. T, do you think Kevin Harvick is going to miss the playoffs, not having a win to this point in the season, but we still got a few races left to go?
Well, we certainly do have races to go, and it's hard to believe that he's had, a couple of really challenging seasons here. He was so dominant two and 3 years back where he was winning. He was winning 1/3 of the races there for a while, and he's gone on a real dry spell here. I think there's a couple of things. First of all, I think he's getting close to retiring, I suspect. And my dad used to always say about racing that when they're close to retiring, they're not hungry enough. They're not as hard charging. But I'm really concerned overall with the whole Stewart Haas organization, of which he obviously is a part of, because they have really, really struggled. Now, Amarola had a good run yesterday for that. He really did. Well, I think he finished 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm happy to see that. I like Eric Amarola a lot. But Kevin Harvick, I guess when the luck stinks up on your shoulder, on your back, and bad luck and shines over the top of your head, I guess it just doesn't seem to stop real quick.
Kevin Harvick also said that running the road Indy course is terrible for the sport of NASCAR. Do you agree or disagree with his take?
Well, I hate to say this, but Kevin can be a little bit of a whiner, and he always likes to blame other people, and he probably just doesn't do well on the road course at Indy. But when they moved the Brickyard event onto the road course, it was a very good decision, because the stock cars on the Indianapolis track, on the oval itself, it was a very boring race typically, because it's such a wide open facility, and it's designed for Indy cars, not for stock cars. So putting going one to that road course at Indy, I happen to like it. I'll take as many road course races as they want to run. And speaking of which, I think we have one next weekend at Sonoma, which is one of my favorite tracks.
So we are at Sonoma next week. What's going to be different about the track this year compared to last year?
At Sonoma, well, I don't know that I can answer that. I don't necessarily know a whole lot that they would change. Now, all those road course tracks they can alter the setups of the track a little bit. You know, when the Indy cars run there, they run a slightly different race course than when the stock cars run there. And of course, the Indy cars have transitioned away from Sonoma. I don't look for a whole lot of changes in the track or configuration. I think you're going to see the road course drivers, guys like Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, even Truex is a good road course driver. You're certainly going to see them. I expect to see them do quite well next weekend.
Well, Dr. T, I wonder if you had the opportunity to watch the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Saturday, and if you happened to see that crash with the number 42 car.
No, I did not. Tell me about it.
Well, it was just it looked like it was going to be nothing at first, just a slight bump, and he kind of got off track and turned to his 90 to his left, but the number 5 truck came and hit him aggressively hard, well over 100 miles an hour, and he had to get taken out on a stretcher in an ambulance, and of course the 42 car driver being Carson Hocevar, and I didn't know if you'd maybe heard anything that had happened with him. They said they were doing extensive tests on his lower extremities, and with all the safety advances they've had, I was surprised to hear that, and just obviously if you hadn't heard, you don't know, but hoping to find out that good news on that one. We haven't seen anything yet.
Well, let's hope so. I mean, there have been so many, as you recognize, there's been so many technological advances in terms of the safety in NASCAR. We haven't lost a driver in NASCAR in several years now. And it used to be unfortunately, we would lose a driver, sometimes even 2 drivers every couple of years. And we haven't had that. We've had, a very safety-oriented program. So I'll have to check into that. I didn't get to see any of that, so I really can't comment to it.
Well, maybe you can comment on the Cardinals. What do you think about the Cardinals this season? They're only half a game back behind the Brewers.
Well, I always grew up a Cardinals fan. I lived in Atlanta now the last 30-plus years, and pretty much have become a Braves fan. But whenever I get back home, I took in one of the Cardinals games last year. And, St. Louis is a fabulous baseball city. They can't hold on to a football team, and they had a hard time for many years holding on to a hockey team. Thank goodness that they were able to hold on to the Blues, because I still love the Blues. I still follow the Blues. But, the Cardinals are still near and dear to my heart. There's nothing better than when the Cardinals and the Cubbies play each other. It's just like when the Blues and the Blackhawks play each other. It's such a rivalry in the Midwest in terms of those sports.
Awesome. So, Dr. T, the difference this year is going to be taking it back to 2018 with Sonoma. They're going to be bringing the chute back.
Okay, I have to go back and look at that. I think what they're talking about there is on the backstretch part of that track where they'll that's why I say they can alter the configuration and make it a more challenging event where the drivers literally have to downshift, dramatic change in speed. So I welcome whatever they do. I mean, that track is such a nice place, and I hate to say this, it's one of the few NASCAR tracks that I have never been to, and really, I got to put that on my bucket list.
Oh, yeah, you got to get out the wine country. I've never been there myself, but it just seems like that would be a great place. Check it off the bucket list. Dr. Tom, we're out of time for today. Can't wait to chat with you next Monday after Sonoma.
Always a pleasure, you guys, and I'll see you then.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Tom. Always a pleasure to have him on the line with us, keeping us up to date with everything NASCAR. And then also, great question there about the St. Louis Cardinals. That was good stuff. Anytime we can bring in some baseball to it, we got to love it. But my biggest takeaway from there is my man's a Braves fan. Let's go. We're going to take a quick time out. When we get back, we're going to find out how Damsel in Defense did this last weekend, and we'll be defending our stance as well.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Colin Cowherd. So there is this belief that Steph Curry shrinks in the finals. Here's all you need to know. If you look at his career numbers and his final numbers, he averages more in the finals than the regular season. Now, here's what happens. His shooting efficiency goes down. The Warriors know who Steph Curry is.
The Herd, weekdays 11 to 2 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Safety is a hot topic, and Emerald Coast Damsel has a variety of local services to educate your employees and beyond. They host realtor safety and warrior workshops and empower hours. You can book them for graduation, bachelorette parties, or other events. Plus, they provide products to keep your kids safe, like storybooks and board games. Give the gift of self-protection and contact Michelle and Rick today, 850-358-2810, or visit their website at emeraldcoastdamsel.com. Independent Damsel Pro for Damsel in Defense.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Since 1989, Bestway Portable Buildings has been serving this area. They can build anything from storage buildings to workshops, game rooms, garages, carports, custom designed buildings from 8 by 8 up to 24 by 48. Even pole barns to cover motorhomes, heavy equipment, or farm equipment. Bestway Portable Buildings, Highway 231, just down from Harts Marine. On the internet at bestwayportablebuildings.com. Come grab a cup of coffee with us and discuss your next building.
Tired of being overcharged each month for health insurance or finding out you still have significant out-of-pocket costs from copays or deductibles when you do go see the doctor? Hi, I'm Kevin Shady with KHS & Associates. Our independent insurance agency has helped individuals, families, and even small business employees lower their health care insurance costs with no copays, no 80/20 coinsurance, and no deductibles unless you're hospitalized overnight. Call or text us at 502-386-1128. That's 502-386-1128.
Damsel in Defense presents Defend Your Stance. Got an opinion? Time to defend it. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
All right, this is Defend Your Stances, brought to you by Emerald Coast Damsel, Independent Damsel Pro for Damsel in Defense. This Saturday and Sunday, we're going to be in Fort Walton Beach, but last Saturday and Sunday, we were at the Bay County Fairgrounds. How'd that show go, Caveman Rick?
It was really good. I was out there Saturday for a little while. I was out there for about an hour. I actually had to come and get some medicine for my dog that got hurt. The crowd was pretty good. There wasn't that younger crowd, like probably 18 to maybe like 35, probably because they were on the beach out that concert this past weekend, so I did notice that. But outside of that, really good showing, a lot of people, good time.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people had a good time out at the Gulf Coast Jam. Morgan Wallen's going to be headlining next year, so that should be a pretty exciting event again. Some of the names that they had out there were big-time names, Brooks and Dunn, Gary Allen. I mean,
I could have run into the majority of them in the grocery store and didn't know who the heck they were. Couldn't even care. I know my kid and my daughter-in-law probably would have went, ballistic, but like, hey, whatever. You couldn't have paid me to go out to that last weekend.
No. If you got paid to go, you wouldn't go?
Man, no.
I don't know. That traffic's something else.
If you would have gave me free tickets and paid me $1,000 a day, I still would have had to go there with earplugs or some beat song where I couldn't hear nothing but what I had going on in my head. And even then, I either probably would have gotten into a fight or got thrown out or just would have left because I just didn't want to be there. And I'm just giving you the honest
Seems like you're battling psychosis right now.
But hey, if there was other music out there I liked, like hard rock and metal or something, I'd be out there all day.
Well, I heard next year that they're going to do Gulf Coast Jam and the Little League World Series at the same time. So hopefully you can come in there, commentate.
I'll stay away like the plague.
I always forget about how much my man hates the Little League World Series.
I like Little League play.
Yes.
Okay, and I like the kids. I just don't think they should be exploited on TV on ESPN when they're like 10 years old. That's just my problem that I have with it.
I look at it as a privilege and an opportunity.
Absolutely.
You look at it as exploitation. I mean, hey, that's the beauty of perspective.
Absolutely.
How many games do the NBA Finals go? Defend your stance. We'll end off with Boston. Tim, you go ahead.
I think it'll go 7. A lot of these series have been going 7 games. Why not this one? 7 games.
I'm 7-2, man. I think we're going to get a bunch of imbalanced games. I hope that some of the games tighten up and we get, better competition throughout the entirety of the game rather than the series, but I do think that we have a competitive series on our hand.
Right. I think we split in these next two games, right? So for me, it comes down to Game 5. Whoever wins Game 5 wins the series.
Okay.
If Boston wins Game 5, we come back home, we win Game 6, it's over. If Steph and the boys in San Francisco win Game 5,
then we go to Game 7.
We go to Game 7, and I think it'll be very, very tough for us to win over there.
Would you rather make the playoffs and lose embarrassingly, a la the Brooklyn Nets, or miss the playoffs entirely, LA Lakers?
I'd rather miss the playoffs entirely, get a better draft pick, not get embarrassed, and move on.
And especially when you've given up so much draft and capital financially, then yes, I wouldn't say take a dive. I wouldn't say flop like LeBron does, but I would certainly say that it would be the decision that I would choose to be for certain to be out of the playoffs and have the opportunity to get a higher draft pick.
I hear LeBron's got a new shoe coming out called he's partnering with Burger King, and they're going to be called the Floppers.
Nice.
I saw them. They look nice. They might get me.
They look like a bird. No, I'm being facetious.
I hear it's like the old joke back in the day when he couldn't finish against, what was it, Dallas, and LeBron James couldn't give you change for a quarter because he didn't have 4 quarters.
Oh,
that's right.
Hey, man, it's still an incredible career that LeBron James is building up. Would football players be better basketball players, or would basketball players be better football players?
I think basketball players would be better football players. For football players, some of the size of those guys would be kind of tough for them to have the agility to do the kind of stuff they would need to do on a basketball court. So I think that's the way it would go.
I think it would be the other way around. You're limited on the number of positions you can play as a basketball player, whereas you have a number of very athletic J.J. Watts and T.J. Watts who are linemen or linebackers that are larger guys that could still easily make it on the basketball court. Whereas I couldn't see maybe 2-3 guys in the NBA, Zion maybe playing on the line in the NFL. They could play a couple of positions, but they
wide
couldn't play all positions.
Tight end,
Definitely get a lot of wide receivers and tight ends out of the NBA, or out of basketball players, rather.
You see Jimmy Grahams and guys like that that didn't even barely play football at all. That ended up becoming great football players. So,
yeah, that's interesting. I thought that it would be football players being better basketball players myself,
I just figured
that.
Have a bunch of big baby Davises playing if you did that, on a basketball court.
Oh, is it? I think Jake Paul's trying to get Big Baby to box.
No, I heard Butterbean wants to fight Jake Paul, though. I heard that the other day.
Rick, let's go.
That wouldn't be no fun, though.
I don't think it'd be his first time.
It's an exhibition thing, I mean, Butterbean's whooped a bunch of people's tail, even though, what has he got to be, 55 now or something?
He really knocked Johnny Knoxville out.
I wanted to get your opinion on the Gervonta Davis and who was boxing. It was not this weekend, but last weekend, and Rolly was talking all kind of trash, man, and Gervonta Davis just kind of laughed and took him down. I believe it was a 6th-round TKO.
Yeah, absolutely. And he really never looked like he belonged in the ring in that particular match.
Yeah.
The best matchup I thought they had was the verbal one, because outside of that, Gervonta just dominated him and dropped him. 6th round, that's very early for smaller guys to be getting dropped.
What would your ideal time zone be? What time zone if you could choose any time zone to live in and only matters for watching sports, which time zone would you rather live in? So you got the East Coast, right?
I would say us Central time.
Yeah.
Because you have
happy medium.
We're an hour behind the Eastern time zone, so you can watch those later West Coast games a little earlier. And you're still getting your East Coast games on time. The only thing I don't like is when there's a game on at 7 o'clock Eastern time and it's on 6 here. If you get off work at 5:30 or something, or even at 5, and you got some errand to run or whatever, it makes it kind of hard to catch the beginning of the game.
For the second round of the playoffs, the Lightning were playing at 6 every night, and the show ends. It's always like,
being a Philly fan, the Philly Flyers play at 7 o'clock a lot, so a lot of games are on at 6 p.m.
Oh, yeah, Dave be kicking us out of the studio at 5:53. It's like, we're off in 93 seconds. So
y'all better be ready, packed up, ready to go, because I'm telling you, we're out the door. For me, I think I would want to be a mountain time zone, just because you get that extra hour from, you know what I mean? And so a lot of the times, some like the basketball games that start at 8 o'clock, well, that's starting at 6 o'clock mountain time, or that would be 7 o'clock mountain time, and you still got.
What times that put your Alabama games on?
Ooh, what depends on what time they play, but
right,
No, I mean, because Colorado's only an hour behind us, right? And then Pacific is 2 hours behind us. So, if the game starts at 2:30, it would actually be 1:30 in Colorado. So, I mean,
Makes sense.
and then if you were to go West Coast and watch, you get to watch NFL games kind of all day long.
If I was independently wealthy, I would say West Coast because I can get up when I want to and I can go to sleep whenever I want to, and I wouldn't have to answer to nobody. So then that would be awesome. That would be the best.
I can't disagree with that one. That's a great perspective.
Who's going to win the Pac-12 this year? Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks or Lincoln Riley and the USC Trojans?
USC.
I think Lincoln walks in there with the class in which he is already easily delivered and brought in through the portal and everything. I think he's going to have a relatively easy walkthrough.
Yeah,
I think we might need to make a little off-the-air bet on this one because I like Oregon.
I'm down.
I like Oregon in this situation because it really depends on who's going to be the quarterback. But if it's going to be Caleb Williams, let me get the Ducks all day long. I just don't got the faith that everybody's so hyped up on Caleb Williams. I didn't see it in him last year.
I'm not worried about Caleb Williams. Like Tim was saying, they brought over a whole bunch of guys. They got a pretty good coach. They're going to be able to spend money, here in the future. They're going to be able to do things.
Hey, good stuff there, guys. That was Defend Your Stance. When we get back, we're going to go over some NFL playoff teams. Just go through the teams and say yes or no. Will they make the playoffs or won't they? Quick timeout. We'll be right back.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is the Panhandle's destination for the Atlanta Braves.
Got him swinging strike three.
Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Braves are back.
Unbelievable.
And hungry for more. Listen to the world champion Atlanta Braves on a world champion radio station.
Rosario knocked the living daylights out of it.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good Monday morning. I'm forecasting a 30-40% coverage of showers and thunderstorms today and tonight. Partly sunny during the day, partly to mostly clear tonight. 88 for the high, 72 for the low. Southwest wind 10 to 15. Water temperature in the Gulf is 82 degrees. We'll keep you updated. This weather forecast has been brought to you by KHS and Associates, your source for affordable health insurance. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Reliable Copy Products is proud to be the exclusive dealer in Northwest Florida for Kyocera office equipment. Reliable Copy Products has been committed to providing professional, personalized service for the last 35 years. They understand that the right equipment does not always fall within today's budget requirements, so they offer several options for the equipment you need today for the growth you expect tomorrow. Call James Smothers at 784-6601. 784-6601. Reliable Copy Products on Harrison Avenue, just north of Bay High School.
Hi, I'm Kevin Shady with KHS and Associates. We represent private insurance providers using multiple nationwide PPO networks for pre-negotiated discounted rates and no copays, no co-insurance, and no deductibles. If you're interested in a quote, give us a call or text 502-386-1128 and provide us your zip code and the ages and gender of those to include. Call or text us at 502-386-1128. That's 502-386-1128.
Atlanta Braves play here. WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DM Mariana. Powered by Pepsi. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Live from the Rib Crib Studio. We are live and local. From Camp Helen State Park to the historic Martin Theater.
Definitely time to let our hair down and have some fun.
It's the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
It's time to talk about the NFL playoffs here. We're going to go through some teams, give them a yes or a no. But first, Boston, Tim, tell me about the best handyman service in this area.
Well, check out Ryan Phillips, Kevin, and his guys over there at Bay Handyman Services and LLC. They listen better, they plan better, and they build better. These guys will do anything you need. You want to be the husband of the year and redecorate the house for your wife. These guys will come in, move your TVs, hang pictures for you, paint a birdhouse and put it out back, and add an addition to the back of your house, and they'll knock it out in whatever time frame you need them. Just contact them on their office number at 850-753-5014. They also have a 24/7 emergency service website, bayhandymanservices.com. And, of course, these guys do hold a 5-star rating. Anything that you guys need, like I said, hanging a picture, putting an addition on the house, new roof, put a shed in the backyard, these guys will take care of it. Contact Ryan Phillips at 850-753-5014.
When you think about Rasheed Wallace, I believe, joining the coaching staff of Darvin Ham.
Oh, Rasheed is awesome. And, he wasn't just a big, aggressive player back in the late 90s. He was also a very knowledgeable and smart player. And so having him join any basketball team, I think, as a coach is a great addition for anyone, really. So
hopefully he won't choke him out. That's all I got to say about that. Like he did PJ Carlissimo.
That's right. Hopefully he brings back that aggressiveness and adds it to his team, because we need that in sports.
Yeah, we really do. So what about the Tennessee ball player? I can't. His name is eluding me right now. But the Tennessee ball player who
from the World Series.
Yeah, last night he hit it into the outfield, and it was basically, I don't even think it was a walk off, but it put him in the driver's seat, and he hit him with I'm putting up the wrong finger, but as soon as the ball went over, he was flicking them off. And then you have people blowing up on Twitter like, have some class. And then you've got other people who's like, I don't want class in sports. I think that's awesome. I mean, so where do you guys stand on the middle finger, the Tennessee player giving the middle finger to the outfield?
Coming from me, you're probably not going to believe what I'm saying, but like they shouldn't do that kind of thing. The ball players, I mean, the fans and stuff is one thing. People are out there drinking, getting rowdy. They bought their ticket, but as far as the players go, they should probably refrain from doing that. That's probably not the best thing to do.
What'd you think, Timbo? Where's your moral high ground on this situation?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with him. If it's the crowd doing it to the players, that's one thing. But when you're on the field and you're representing a team or a school or, in this case, a university, you need to do it with dignity, respect, and integrity. And for me, you might have to deal with it from the fans, but you should not dish it back out.
He could have just waved by, like, see you later, or like night, lots of other ways you can go out and do that kind of thing instead of doing the middle finger.
There's a dozen different things, absolutely.
I'm kind of surprised that nothing has came of this as far as in the form of a suspension. Because
I enjoyed the way that the Big Poppies or Cecil Fielder did it back in the day. He was a big guy. If he hit a home run and he was getting taunted when he was on first base or something like that earlier in the game, he damn near walked around the bases after he hit a home run.
Take your time, stare down the pitcher.
61 seconds because this is my minute.
Yeah.
And you guys can't do anything about it.
Except for hit me the next time I'm at bat. I wish that was more.
Or bat flip.
Whatever.
A bat flip.
The big old bat flip.
Or Ronald Acuna Jr.
Harper is the bat flip king.
Ronald Acuna Jr. hit the LeBron coming around third right before he hit
Would he trip on the air?
Was it the same Texas player, or was it another one that did the flip, too, and almost hit another guy on his team when he did the flip because they were cheering right after he hit the home run and did the flip, and one guy wasn't paying attention. If the other guy doesn't kind of like knock it away.
I did that in softball before.
It might, knock a dude in the
head. Grand slam hit in the championship, down by 3 runs. I threw that bat all the way over to my dugout. I didn't care.
That's a bat flip, man.
It was worth it. And I broke one of the lights at Frank Brown that hit too. It was awesome.
Oh, well, at least it was with the hit and not with the bat flip.
Yeah.
Right State Chris says he was just saying that the Vols are number 1. That's all he was doing. Yeah. Come on. All right, let's get into it. I'm going to give you guys, and remember, you can only have 7 slots out of the AFC and 7 in the NFC, so we'll try to keep track of it here. But let's start in the NFC. We'll start with the South on both sides of the conference here. Tampa Bay Bucks, playoffs or no?
I'll say they're in the playoffs.
Boston T?
Yes.
Yes, I think all 3 of us are giving them a yes there. Let's go to the Saints. Caveman Rick.
Saints, I will say no.
For the Saints, the verdict is still out. I think that they have a team strong enough to get it done. However, the verdict is still out on how healthy Jameis is going to be and how the wide receiver what's going on with Michael Thomas right now? Is he healthy? Is he going to be able to play? Is he going to have a surgery the day before the season like he did last year? I'm going to say no at this point in time of the Saints.
I'm going to lean the other direction. I think that They've needed a season to really get themselves in track, and I think they had that season. They still played relatively decent last year, and I think this is the year where they're going to have the opportunity with the moves that were made and the inconsistencies in the other teams in the conference with the Falcons making the big moves and the inconsistencies with the Panthers. I think they're going to have an opportunity to probably get a wild card spot. So I will go with a yes for the Saints.
Let's go with the Carolina Panthers.
No.
Absolutely no for me. From me.
Right, and going along with what I just said, I don't think either of these next two teams will make it.
Yeah, so Atlanta Falcons, I think that's that's a pretty easy no right now. They are just continuously signing wide receivers, not really anyone's with big.
Who's going to throw them the ball?
Names right now. It's looking to be Marcus Mariota. Well, they do have who was
Josh
it that
Rosen?
they drafted?
Yes.
I think they got Josh Rosen, but also I'm trying to think the kid who transferred from Florida to Arkansas. Why is it escaping me right here? Oh man!
1 second, I got you.
I know.
Desmond Ritter. And
no,
also
that's Cincinnati.
Felipe Franks.
That's who I'm talking about. Felipe Franks. That's exactly. All right, let's get to the NFC North here. Green Bay Packers could be. I mean,
they're a playoff team.
They are a playoff team, but what's that offense going to look like? No Devontae Adams.
They're going to run the hell out of the ball.
Okay, right. Oh, Aaron Jones. So a bigger year from A.J. Dillon this year?
Both of them.
Yeah.
Both of the running backs? Aaron Jones more in the passing game and A.J. Dillon?
A lot more dump-offs, because he will have less reliability in the wide receiver slots. But we've seen time and time again, and granted, he did have a Devontae for a long time. He's had a number of decent players in Cobb and Jennings and things like that. But he's also taken 2 or 3 other players with no names at all and turned them into something.
Jordy Nelson?
For his entire career. So he can do it with nobody. It's just whether or not he has the backup from his offensive line and the drop-off ability to his running backs.
So Packers are an easy yes then?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think they win the division.
I like that too. Let's go to the Vikings.
They're in.
They're in. I think that's the only issue that they have in winning said division.
Yeah. Right. That might. I don't want to say it's my bold prediction, but it's one of the teams up there who I think if there's any team that are going to knock the Packers out in the NFC North, and they won't knock them all the way out of the playoffs, but take away the division
crown.
crown.
If Dalvin Cook stays healthy, then they got a good shot. But if he gets hurt like he usually does, then I think it's going to be a detriment to him.
That's
agreed.
A great point.
I think it's about time for them to stop letting everybody down, though. Now's the opportunity. The Packers don't have the same team that they've had for the last 4 or 5 years.
This is the Vikings. So. They're always going to let people down.
Right. I agree. But I think
it's in their DNA.
I think it's that opportunity, and especially their quarterback. If he doesn't do it now, how long can they really keep him?
That's a great point.
We've probably all said that for 3 or 4 years, but I think it's that opportunity is now.
They need to draft somebody that's come and draft when there's a deep quarterback draft class.
It's next year.
Next year.
So, speaking of Minnesota, we are going to be having Janoris Robinson on the show with us. He's got a big-time football camp that's going to be absolutely free to the public. I believe it's next month. We'll have him on the show ahead of that so he can promote what's going on. It's absolutely free. I think that there's a limited amount of participants that they're taking in.
I was going to say, and it's not like it's a small camp where the first 50 kids come in and he'll take care of it. I think he did a 250 person camp. I mean, that's a great sized camp to be able to donate all of the time and things that come with it. So good for him, giving back to his community that he came from.
He was doing this when he was still with Florida State, like after the hurricane and stuff. It's like this guy is amazing. The athletes from our area are just absolutely amazing. Let's get into the Chicago Bears here in the NFC North. Is that a yes, no, maybe so?
No for me.
Yeah, I just don't have the confidence in the quarterback no matter how you look at it. I just don't find him to be a strong NFL quarterback.
He doesn't have any weapons.
And until they make a decision on him, I don't think they're going to be worried about the playoffs at all.
Let's go to this next team. We don't even got to talk playoffs. Will they win 2 games? No, I'm just kidding. Detroit Lions, yes or no on the playoffs?
No.
Absolutely not for me. Wait, hold on. What are you thinking about?
I don't really have to, do I?
No, you don't. You don't.
I was thinking about the Cowboys.
I thought you were about to hit us with a surprise answer. So over to the NFC East we go, and the Dallas Cowboys. Will they make the playoffs?
Because we have to have 7 in, I say yes.
Agreed. I mean, that's
6,
it.
I'd say no.
I think they'll do similar to what they do. They'll win the East and still have to fight and vie just to get an opportunity. I mean, they're
not winning the East, though.
They're not winning the East.
The Eagles will be doing that.
Oh man, that's gonna be. It's gonna be
Eagles?
closer to. You know what I mean? It'll be a closer situation to monitor this year than maybe in years past. But I still think that the Cowboys, as of
We did
right
it last year with the team that we had,
Yes.
and now with the team that we have going into this season, we better whoop their tail. We better win this damn division. That's
Under
all I'm
500.
saying.
Under 500. Oh, that would hurt.
You want to bet there?
Yes, you lose both games to the Commanders, both games to the Cowboys.
I'll take that.
And split with the Giants.
We're not going to be under 500.
They're not that bad. They're mediocre. They're not that bad.
I'm actually on the same boat as you, though, Caveman Rick, or at least I'm pulling for the Eagles to win the division.
They have to, man. After what they did last year, it'd be such a big letdown to not.
Yeah. Hey, talk about a team that gives letdowns.
Similarities to the Vikings? No,
No, we've got Super Bowls and we got championships and we know what we're doing. We got an incredible fan base.
That is true. Oh, big Nick Foles. Let's get to the Eagles here.
BDN.
I'm going yes for the Eagles. So that's got me with 5 playoff teams right now. Only got 2 left.
I have 5 also without the Eagles. No Eagles.
No Eagles.
No, they will not make the playoffs.
No. Oh, yeah, because you actually
You
have
got
the
the
Saints
Saints.
going. Yep,
Yeah,
that's
correct.
it. That's right. Commanders, I'm going no. I do think that they're going to be in a better position if Carson Wentz has the same type of year that he did with the Colts last year.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a decent team. I just don't think they'll make the playoffs. So I think they'll show out a little better than what would be expected.
You'll see more Dan Snyder stuff probably come out, more dirt, and they'll probably be more of a circus. And no, that's not going to happen.
Or it could be like what the Raiders dealt with last year, where and I don't think you'll be seeing Rivera get let go in the middle of the year, but take Dan Snyder, put him in the role of John Gruden in a sense, and just kind of, an upheaval of the franchise, and maybe it could help them.
That's not as bad, though, as what's going on. It has been going on in Washington for
Yeah,
a
no
long
doubt.
time, so I wouldn't even compare.
No doubt, but anytime, no, I'm not comparing the situations at all. I'm saying that sometimes when turmoil is,
it'll bring people together sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like us against the world.
I still got no on the Commanders and the Daniel Jones Giants here. I got an absolute no. I would really be surprised with what the Giants are going in with, unless Brian Daboll is just some magician.
I think they win 4 or 5 games.
That's it. I was about to say if they get over 6, I'll be surprised.
As would I. Yeah, and I think the over/under was 5 or 5.5.
5.5.
I'd be surprised if it went over.
Let's get into the West here. NFC West, LA Rams, Super Bowl champions.
How can you not?
Do they win? Do they win the division again?
Yeah, I think they win the division again.
Yeah, I think they signed off on that division win
today. Yeah, no doubt. Big old deal for Aaron Donald. Seattle Seahawks, no Russ Wilson, Drew Lock.
They ain't going nowhere.
Nowhere?
Going to maybe DFL.
Yeah, potentially the next Jaguars.
Oh, man, strong right there. I know Seahawks fans will not be happy to hear that. San Fran, 49ers. Jimmy G. I mean, Jimmy G's kind of up in the air right now. We don't know exactly how. I just can't see the 49ers going with Trey Lance, though.
No, I don't either. I think it's a possibility maybe halfway through the season if Jimmy doesn't really step up. And, we all constantly say, not necessarily all of us, but a lot of us will say, Jimmy doesn't have it, Jimmy can't do it, but he continues to bring them to the playoffs. I do, however, feel that this is the year that they're going to come up short. I think it's, and right now I'm down with between them and the Cardinals, and I just think the Cardinals are going to have a better opportunity to get the W.
That's exactly where I'm at because I've only got one more slot for another team, and I can't, if it's the Cardinals, D-Hop is going to be missing the first 6 games, and it's a lot better for him to miss the first 6 games than it is the last 6 games. So if you can get a even-keeled Kyler Murray coming in wanting to lead the Cardinals.
That's the thing, if.
Yeah, that is a big if. But if you got Jimmy G not being the quarterback for the 49ers, then I don't see
know
very
if it
many.
matters, man, because the 49ers had a bunch of injuries.
Yeah.
It didn't matter who was running the ball, running back. They were still, moving the ball.
So a lot of credit to Kyle Shanahan then.
Oh, yeah, definitely to the system.
The system and their lines, both sides, offense and defense, are probably top 5.
Yeah.
I'll look up the statistics on our next break, but I'm pretty sure both sides are top 5.
Well, let's go ahead and take that break. I'm saying yes to the Cardinals. Caveman Rick?
I'm saying no to the Cardinals because I said yes to the Niners, and that's my 7.
All right, so you've got 7. I've got 7. Boston Tim's got 7. I've got the Bucks, the Packers, the Vikings, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Rams, and the Cardinals all making the playoffs out of the NFC, and I'll say the number 1 overall seed. Wow, when you look at it like this, it's actually going to be a lot tighter than what it was last year, maybe. I would say that the Rams are probably going to be the NFC's number 1 seed.
More than likely, that's how I would go. Right now, how could you not go that route?
True.
Defending champs.
I would like to think the same thing. I think it'll be between them and the Bucks.
Ooh, yeah. Gotta have Tom Brady in there, right? We're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, we'll do the AFC side of things.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hey, I wanted to say something about this whole Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher thing. Look, I'm over it as a fan. The only thing that bothers me about it sometimes is somehow Vanna fans like Legend, who says he gets all this proof that we did all these things wrong. What is this proof? Sliced bread? Give me a break. I'm like Jimbo. I don't care about this so much anymore. I'm looking towards the future and this upcoming season.
The Paul Feinbaum Show, weekdays 6 to 10 on 102.1 and 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Spotty showers at thunderstorms this afternoon. Partly sunny skies near 88. It looks like a southwest wind 10 to 15. The water temperature in the Gulf is around 82, 83. Partly to mostly cloudy overnight, low 70s. Any showers at thunderstorms ending. And they'll be mostly sunny near 88 Tuesday. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Hear that? That's the plumpest, juiciest hot dogs you've ever seen getting their grill on. But we both know what'll make it sound even better. Oh yeah, it's a Pepsi to go with your hot dog. Because when you're chomping on America's favorite meal, relish, mustard, and onions perfectly blending into a crescendo of flavor, there's only one thing that makes everything about that moment better. A cold, refreshing Pepsi. See what I mean? It's like music to my ears. Hot dogs. Better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
It's the cooling season, and time to call Steverson Air Conditioning for your preventative maintenance to keep your air conditioning system operating at full capacity. Steverson Air Conditioning has preventative maintenance programs, and they service all makes and models. Steverson Air Conditioning offers air duct cleaning. Steverson Air Conditioning has after-hours service and free estimates on a system change-out or duct cleaning. Call them at 248-1109.
Doing what other stations can't. The Afternoon Underdogs is live and local inside the Rib Crib Radio Room. 850-215-6290.
When you have completed dialing, listen for the ringing signal.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are live. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes. We've got Caveman Rick. Boston Tim is in the building. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Big shout out to Blab TV. If you don't have their channel or app, or if you're not in an area where they service or on your TV service provider, then you can get their channel or their app on Roku or Fire Stick TV. So let's get back into the AFC real quick here. Lots of things happening in the golf world as well, but we might not have time to get into that. Got some big local news as well today at 5:45. AFC, though, let's start here in the South. Tennessee Titans, I'm going with a yes. Hard yes.
I'll go ahead and jump in after you this particular round. For me, I'm going to go with a very tough decision, but a no on this particular one. I like them, but the inconsistencies in their health is what is going to be the deciding factor for me. And for this year, I don't think that they're going to make it in.
For me, I'm going to say no as well. I think their quarterback situation, they lost A.J. Brown. We'll see if Derrick Henry is going to be healthy all year, so I'll have to say no.
And I just feel like there's progressively been a lot of strength and growth in the AFC, and it's going to be harder and harder for the teams like that to continue to be up there with everybody else if they just can't stay healthy.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. A great show today, guys. We're going to wrap it up now. I got the Titans going for sure. Let's move on to the other team that is projected to win the AFC South as well, right along with them, the Indianapolis Colts. So I'm guessing with the no of the Titans, that is a yes from you guys.
That's what I'm picking.
So here's how I'm going to do it is I'm going to wait and see how I feel once I got 6 teams, because I do think that you could possibly have 2 teams out of the AFC South. But that AFC West, wouldn't surprise me if all 4 teams made it. And this would be the first year that it's actually possible. So, Colts, for both of you guys, that's a yes, right?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Houston Texans, does Davis Mills move the needle for Houston this year?
He actually moves the needle a little bit, but they don't make the playoffs now.
I say no either.
I think I'm with you on that one. I think that they had as average of a season as it was. I think it was a breakout season for him and for them, considering what they were working with. But now everybody kind of has a game plan for him. I just don't see anything else really happening more than what we already saw.
Yeah, very, very, very good point there. And then Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence in his second year will have Travis Etienne. He's got a better coach this year in Doug Peterson. No Frank Reich to add to the mix there, but what do you guys think here about the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I think the Jaguars are going to have a progressively better season as they have over the course of the last 2 years. You can go from 1 to 2 to maybe they'll go to 4, right? They can't really get much worse. So I think they'll have a good season. I just don't think that they're worth discussing in the playoff picture at all until they can really prove themselves.
Yeah, no playoffs, maybe a game or two better than last year, and that's about it.
Yeah.
To the AFC North, Pittsburgh Steelers, Trubisky, could it be Kenny Pickett?
I think it's going to be miss the playoffs.
All right, so the Steelers are missing the playoffs.
I agree. I think their defense is still going to be very strong, but it's not going to win as many games as much as they would like them to, because you don't necessarily have a definitive quarterback over there, and that really is what runs our league right now.
Yeah.
So you never know. Trubisky's took a team like Chicago to the playoffs. It's not impossible to think that he can do it with a well-coached team over there in Pittsburgh, but will it happen? You can't really rely on it with the other teams that are in the AFC right now.
This one's tough for me because I don't think that they're going to win the division, but however, my X factor in the whole mix here is Mike Tomlin. You know what I mean? Now, just because they don't have a losing season doesn't mean that they can't miss the playoffs, especially with how that AFC West is going to be looking. Verdict is still out for me, but since we're playing this game for right now, I'm going to agree with you guys and say no. Moving on to the Cleveland Browns, the Deshaun Watsons, I'm going no.
Yeah, no for me.
Yeah, I just don't think Jacoby Brissett is going to be strong enough quarterback to hold them through a season, and especially not to make into the playoffs in the AFC. I just don't see it.
And if Baker plays, still no.
I would be hard pressed to think that Baker's going to play after.
I hear you,
but
the way
they've said, how they've acted towards him, how he's acted toward them. You got to make some amends if you think that's going to happen.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing, but even if he does play, it's still no.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to see him come out, have a spectacular season, and really ruin all the plans that the executives had over there. Because I just don't like the situation that's going on and how they're doing it. Like you said, the contract year, things like that. It's a lot of shady stuff going on. So yeah, I'd like to see Baker, who is homegrown, have the opportunity and actually do something with it. But will he?
Baltimore Ravens. This is my division winner, so I'm saying yes. I'm going Baltimore Ravens. Bounce back. They go from worst to first in the AFC North this year, and Lamar Jackson has a great year. Caveat, though, or the my asterisk here is, outside of Mark Andrews, you've lost Hollywood Brown now. Who's he going to throw the ball to? So it's going to be, another year of heavy running.
I don't think it matters. Harbaugh, man, he's got a plan. They didn't have a plan a couple of years ago, and then during the preseason, they figured out how they were just going to run the ball with everybody, and we saw it worked, and it just be status quo again for those guys.
I agree, and I think they're back, they're healthy, and whether or not they have Hollywood, I don't think really makes a difference.
That's a good point.
I think they're just giving out money, so the money that he got made it look like he was an exceptional player, but the money doesn't equal the statistics, if you ask me.
100%.
So for me, he'll do what he needs to do in Lamar Jackson to find the next guy up, and whoever it may be, I think they'll progress just fine. He's going to be just fine containing and holding the ball like he does the majority of the time. If he has to run the ball 22 times a game like he did the season before last, that's what he's going to do, and they'll be successful as long as he's confident in himself and stays healthy.
Lamar Jackson gets a really bad knock for not being an accurate passer, but I believe his lifetime passing accuracy is like 68% or so. So that's
great.
That's insane.
There's a lot of bias because everybody thinks he's a running back.
Yep, no doubt about it. Moving on to the Super Bowl runner-ups here, Adam Goff's Cincinnati Bengals. What you got on this one, BT?
I got the Bengals making it as well. I think they're going to have another great season. There's no reason to think that they're not going to have a good season. Yes, the rest of the NFL has a little bit of a map for what they've done over the course of the last year, but they have to still stop the actions in which are taking place. And you see Burrows and Chase having probably the best connection of all quarterback QB combos in the NFL last year, and I don't see why that's going to change. It's progressively coming over from LSU and going into the NFL, and it really looks like they've just advanced their team play in having the two of them join forces.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, they're in. I don't think they'll make it to the Super Bowl again. They might just win one game, but they're definitely in.
Agreed.
See, I'm going to go, and really, this is more or less because of me and Adam Goff's bet. What you said with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, they might be the deadliest duo in all of football
they
right
might have
now.
the best wide receiver core in all
And
of
we
football.
don't. I was just going to say, and we're not even really talking about the other guys, the Higgins and
Boyd
and
Uzama,
I'm
the
losing
tight
it.
end.
Thank you. Uzama's tight end had a great 4 or 5 game stretch. If he can be more consistent throughout the whole year, he'd be a top 5 tight end.
But so for me, I think that they're gonna have a Vikings type season next year where they drop a lot of games that are really close and could go either way, but they're just not gonna go in the favor of the Bengals. So I'm gonna have them missing the playoffs, and a lot of this is coming down to just how good the West is gonna be. So we're moving on to the East here. Buffalo Bills. Is that an easy yes, or is the situation a little bit tougher now that the Patriots have added some pieces for Mac Jones and the Dolphins have went crazy in the offseason?
That's the 1 seed in the AFC right there.
Buffalo
They're
Bills?
in for sure.
I'm going to have them win in the East as well.
I would like to disagree with him, but I can't. You know, I actually 100% agree with you. They're the number 1 seed. The only way I see it being any different is if I'd have to look at the scheduling, and if the Colts happen to have an easier schedule, there's a probability that they will come in the number 1 seed. I think they'll come in 1, 2, however you look at it.
Good stuff there. New England Patriots, what happens there? Do they make the playoffs or no?
I think first time, long time, they come up short this year. I think they're going to come up short.
Now, is this one of your, trying to work the universe?
That's preseason. Come on. You just see the moves. You see the things that are happening around the AFC East. And yes, we added a couple pieces, but we didn't make any big splashes. And the big splashes barely got us to a double-digit wins last year. So what happens this year? I'm just not as confident as I have been in previous years. But where I am confident is the Bills' strength and the fact that they are a number 1 and what the Finns have done in Miami. They made some huge moves and they put a lot of pieces in place. And I think that they're going to be one of the more surprising teams this year. I have the Finns going into the playoffs and the Patriots not.
Ooh.
Patriots miss. I heard they got Matt Patricia going to call the offensive plays. What the hell?
Wait, had they made that actual decision?
Guy.
Because I know
I read probably the same.
I heard it earlier today on the radio. Matter of fact, on this station, that he was going to be the play caller.
Yeah.
So a guy that was the defensive-minded coach that went over to Detroit. Now he's going to be the offensive play caller. That's no bueno. I don't know what the hell they're doing over there.
They're going to be running goal line on the 50-yard line.
Quarterback sneak from Mac Jones on 3rd and 11.
It's going to be the Brady all over the place. It's not 4th down?
I'm with you guys, though. I'm going to say no on the Patriots as of right now. You never know how a season's going to unfold, but there's a lot of players. We keep on going back to it. You look at the NFC, and it's kind of wide open. The interstate is not jam-packed. You look at the AFC, and, we're in a school zone right now. Who's going to be the one to get out of traffic and make it to the front there? Miami Dolphins on this one. It's make it or break it year for Tua as the quarterback of the Dolphins. They brought in so many pieces, offensive and defensively as well, and they've shored up the offensive line. If it's a no, goodbye Tua, and Mike McDaniel's going to be reworking that team.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that one. And I think he has the opportunity with all the pieces in place to get a checkmate this season. He just has to play the chips right. That's all he has to do. He doesn't have to do anything exceptional. He doesn't have to be crazy. He doesn't have to throw the ball 70 yards. He just has to put it in the right spot. He's got the 2 of the fastest wide receivers in all of the NFL, one of them being also probably one of the strongest wide receivers in Waddle. So really he just has to make smart decisions and allow the players that he has around them do the things that they need to do to make the team successful.
Michigan State Bruce says everybody keeps talking about Miami, but you forget they have Tua as a quarterback. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn if he was standing inside.
I feel you. That's why I'm saying that the Dolphins are not going to make the playoffs this year. I don't have any faith in them. Just because you got a couple of stud wide receivers, you got to get them the ball.
Yeah.
If you can't get them the ball, or if they're wide open 50 yards down the field and you can't hit them because you can only throw it 45, it's not going to work for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey.
For me, the confidence doesn't necessarily come in with Tua. They probably have the strongest backup in the NFL, and that's where I'm feeling my strength. If Tua doesn't do something in the first 2 or 3 games, that
two gloves
still gives Teddy, 13 or 14 games to really bring them to a double-digit victory possibility. And when you have 2 games against the Jets and you have 2 games against the Patriots, who I know are not going to play strong this year, you're guaranteeing yourself at least 3 wins right there just in our division. You split one with the Bills, and you're now fighting for the number 1 spot in the AFC East. So really, it's all how how things unfold, whether Tua does well, and if not, if Teddy can hop in there quickly and take over like he did with the Saints, I think there's a good possibility that they go to the playoffs.
I do like that take. New York Jets. Absolutely, yes, right? Zach Wilson, savior of New York.
Of course.
I think they'll do better because of the draft that they had and the moves that they made, but still no.
So where do you and I know I don't have the win total over under right in front of me, but
6.
6?
I agree.
I think that's a little high for him.
Really?
But who knows? I do think 4 or 5.
Because I think in a division, you can maybe win a couple of games there, and that's a third of those wins.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to get a couple of games against some other teams. Of course, you're going to play teams in the NFC. I don't know which division that they got to play against offhand. I can't recall, but there's a handful of teams out there that they could beat. Like the Giants, the Commanders potentially, the Lions, the Bears, the Falcons, the Panthers.
Well, I know that
those teams,
the NFC East is playing the AFC South. That's the only one that I can think of off the top of my head. I'd have to just see somebody else's schedule, and then I could formulate it from there. But let's get out to the West here. This is going to be one of the most intriguing divisions to keep your eye on. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fantasy players just coming out of this division in and of itself. Let's start with the guys who have been running this division for the last few years here in the Kansas City Chiefs. Will they or won't they make the playoffs in the year of 2022?
I think this is my big, bold prediction here. This will be the first year in 6 years where they do not only do they not win their particular division in the West, but I don't think that they make the playoffs at all. Yeah. I think they did, they made some moves that the names may look like splashes in a Juju Smith-Schuster and a Marquez Valdez-Scantling, but losing Tyreek Hill and the statistics that come with what he actually provided for that team is really, really huge. You had a lot of comebacks in the past 2 or 3 seasons, and the vast majority of those comebacks are when you see him getting double-digit receptions, 1 or 2 touchdowns, and triple, 100 yards or more in the game, and he did that many, many times, and losing that is going to be huge.
It is
because when you have somebody like that on one side, that's what opens up a Travis Kelce to provide the statistics that he provides out of the tight end spot. And I just don't know that you're going to have that out of a slot receiver like a Juju or somebody like Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Yeah, and MVS can never really stay fully healthy as well. So that's definitely something else that you got to keep your eyes on there. What about for you, Chiefs? Yes or no?
I'm kind of with Tim in the fact that I think they are going to take a step back, but not that much back where they'll still make the playoffs. I mean, we can't forget Andy Reid's still coaching this team, and he's had a number of winning seasons. His whole time in Philadelphia, he basically had a winning season. Talk about Marquez Valdez-Scantling and guys like that. Yeah, hasn't been so great playing with, say, like Green Bay, but let's see what Andy Reid can scheme up for him. Maybe he has a breakout year, playing here for Kansas City, and he takes the place of somebody, not like a Tyreek Hill with the speed, but as far as the production.
Yeah, I'm going to go yes. I think that they're going to be runner-up in this division. But I do, until it's kind of like saying Alabama or the field in college football. Until they're kind of proven wrong, that kid, Mahomes, even when we've seen him be knocked on his tail, especially in the second half game, especially in that AFC Championship against the Bengals, but he still possesses, that magician inside of him that when it starts showing up, it's time for him to show out. So I've got yes for the Chiefs. Let's go to the Russell Wilson's new team, the Denver Broncos. What are we thinking here? Make or miss the playoffs 2022? Boston Tim.
I'm right back where I was just recently with the Chiefs. I just don't think that he has what it takes over there as far as, the integral players around him. Jerry Jeudy, while he did get away with whatever incident he had outside of the field, he still, for me, has been questionable throughout his first season. So I like a Cortland Sutton, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's a number 1 wide receiver by any means. So really, what do they have over there as far as consistency and great players? I love Russ. I think he's great. I just don't think he has the team around him to get to the playoffs, especially not in this particular division.
Yeah, you look at the Seahawks and you look at the Broncos. You go back to their year last year. They both had the same identical records. I don't know that bringing Russell Wilson in moves the needle. We were talking about with Davis Mills and how that needle will move for the Houston Texans. I don't think that Russell Wilson just comes in and changes the direction of that franchise because the successful years in Seattle, especially the Super Bowl run years, were because you had a stud of a running back and it allowed Russell Wilson to elaborate on his gameplay.
And an elite defense, too.
And an elite defense. Well, now no Von Miller in Denver. Still a good defense. Don't get me wrong there. I think you might have a better defense in Denver than what you did in Seattle last year. But Melvin Gordon is not the bell cow.
Yeah, no doubt.
And who's the other one? Williams. Is it Javonte Williams?
Yes.
I don't think of him as like your franchise running back. He can get you some fantasy points. He can put some points up on the board for you, but I'm not seeing him that way. So I've got no for the Broncos.
Yeah, I got no as well. I think this is probably the most overhyped situation there is in the NFL right now. All the people talking up the Broncos, saying that they're going to make this huge leap and that like Russell Wilson's going to be the savior for him. I just don't see it. Yeah. I mean, like Tim was saying, you don't have the right personnel around. Like you were saying, when he won, he had a great running back. He had an elite defense, like I added on there, too. He just doesn't have all the tools here that he's used to having. So how is he just going to progress from playing the way he did in Seattle to changing his game plan in a different way, playing in Denver? Not to mention the environment. I mean, I'm not going to say he's an athlete, a world-class athlete, but still you're going to be playing mile high as opposed to playing in Seattle.
Yeah.
That's going to take some change on your body and some acclimation. He does have plenty of time to do that. I know this. People are probably going to say this, but still, to play in game shape and to be playing games, it's a totally different thing. So, and they're up for sale right now, too.
I think they actually
like
just got bought today.
$4.5 billion. Yeah,
I think that it got bought today.
By the Waltons or something like that.
I forgot exactly who it was, but I saw that at probably like 4 or 5 hours ago. There was either they announced that it was for sale for $4.5 billion.
Yeah, $4.5 billion, and I think the Waltons are like the front runners for getting him if it's not like a done deal set in stone right now.
And we got to speed it up just a little bit. We've went long in this segment. Las Vegas Raiders, do they or don't they?
Yeah, I do. I think they make it in. I think they've made some strides. The pickups that they did pick up in Devontae is going to be huge over there. I think that's really the only thing that we've needed over there with Derek is just a dominant number one wide receiver that's going to make a difference for them, and I think he's going to be that guy.
Yeah, for me, same thing. They got the coach. They got a quarterback. They got wide receivers. They got running backs, tight end. I mean, they're stacked. They're in.
I'm going to say there's not enough turmoil for them this year, and they're just not going to have that edge to them this year. So I'm going to say no for the Las Vegas Raiders. Sorry, Raider Dennis. My division winner is going to be the L.A. Chargers, though. I think it's that time for Justin Herbert here. So I've got the Chargers with a big old yes going into the playoffs for 2022.
I agree with you. I think they rip off 13 wins this year, and I think that they're one of the top 2 or 3 teams in all of the NFL.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it's Justin Herbert's time. He's going to have a year, I think, this year like a Josh Allen probably had like last year. Right. Bust out, get a lot of yards, and turn a lot of heads.
I think Austin Eckler has a great season.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to see him. He had a heck of a year last year, kind of becoming that dual running back, catching the ball, running the ball, toting it, whichever way you needed to use Eckler, he was there. So it came down to the Raiders and the Colts for me. I think that the Colts have a little bit easier of a road to win that wild card. You know what I mean? So I think that 7th spot could be the Titans. I think the Titans are going to win the South. But I think that the Colts are going to sneak into the playoffs. So you'll get 2 from the AFC South. You'll get 1 from the AFC North. You'll get 2 from the East. And crazy to say it when I open this segment with you might get 4 teams out of the AFC West. I've only got 2.
4 at the start, but I changed my mind on the Broncos.
We've got to get to a break. We've only got a couple more segments today and not a whole lot of time to get them done. We'll be right back. Keep it tuned in here to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
These are things that have to be taken individually. I understand that in a town you're going to look at the totality. Right now, baseball, spectacular. Basketball, not so good. Maybe the Nets get this thing figured out. Hockey, yeah, the Rangers, they could wind up being the next team to win a championship in this town. They could do it in the next couple of weeks. And then the football teams, the Giants had a good draft. The Jets had a great draft. Do things look a little better? God knows I hope so.
Greeny, weekdays 2 to 4, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hi folks, it's Tracy with Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Did you know that we have a master jeweler right here in the store? That's right, he has over 30 years experience in the art of repairing jewelry. Most repairs are done within 2 business days, so don't send your jewelry off for 6 weeks. Bring it to us at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. We size rings and solder chains. We can reset your diamond into new settings and even custom design. You'll get your jewelry back quickly and looking as good as new. Tracy's Fine Jewelry, Bay County's trusted jeweler for over 45 years.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likas with another Car Clinic Minute. Driving in downpours can make you blue, or worse, black and blue from an accident. Well, lighten up, because when we come back, I'll give you some colorful hints to drive you through inclement weather.
The Car Clinic Minute.
It's Bobby Likas Car Clinic, brought to you locally by Hewitt Tire and Auto.
Call 850-769-7323.
Your certified AAA service center and hometown towing.
Visit them online at HewittTire.com.
On Airport Road in Panama City.
That's 850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center and hometown towing.
Golden drops of sunshine are better than dangerous downpours. But if rainy, gray clouds are all that's in sight, take these precautions to keep you and your passengers sitting pretty in pink. First, spend a little green to stay on top of your car's maintenance. Have your fluids checked now. Waiting till they're black will cost you. Second, soft and supple wiper blades keep windshields clear on the outside, but a faulty defroster can cause a white haze inside. So check your AC system. Next, remember that proper tire pressure and tread depth are critical for keeping vehicles between the yellow lines. And last, don't forget that a roadside emergency kit can be the rainbow in any storm. I'm Bobby Likas. Like us, you'll love us.
From the Florida-Bama line to the Gulf of Mexico, from the Upper Grand Lagoon to McKenzie Park, we are live and local.
Whether you like it or not, you have a gift.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, live from the Rib Crib Radio Room, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the Rib Crib Radio Room. 2 segments, not a whole lot of time to get it done. Give you guys a quick update about what's going on in the College Baseball World Series world and try to get an update before we get out of here on the Women's College World Series. You had a game that was suspended from last night between Auburn and UCLA. Auburn has knocked off UCLA in the Auburn Regional 11-4. You've also, Florida and Oklahoma are delayed right now. Florida up 2-1 on Oklahoma. LSU and Southern Miss are tied at 4 runs apiece here in the top of the 7th. Vanderbilt is down to Oregon State in the bottom of the 6th here, 6-5. Top 5, Ole Miss, Arizona tied at 5. Michigan, they made a run on Louisville, but Louisville stormed back to get that one 11-9. Louisville now advanced to the Super Regional. North Carolina's on top of VCU right now. It's only in the middle of the second. 4-1 is the count there. Winner of this game, I believe, wins the Chapel Hill Regional. East Carolina knocks off Coastal Carolina. East Carolina advances to a Super Regional. Tonight's games, you've got Maryland and UConn going on at 6 p.m. Arkansas and Oklahoma State going on at 6 o'clock, in Texas State and Stanford wrap the night up tonight at 9 p.m. We've had some great stuff already. Tennessee has advanced to the Super Regionals. Notre Dame has advanced to the Super Regionals. Texas advanced. We've also got Texas A&M in. Virginia Tech won their regional, and I think that's all. So a lot of great, yeah.
Did Miami, did they play those games down in Coral Gables?
Yeah, so they
did, or did?
Yeah, they were kind of fighting the weather all weekend, but they're going to come to a conclusion to that one tonight. I believe, who's in the Coral Gables? I believe it's Ole Miss and maybe Arizona, or Ole Miss and Arizona. Winner of that one wins Coral Gables. Miami lost to Arizona last night.
Okay, that's good. So at least nobody got an automatic bid just for crappy weather.
No automatic, and you know, that is wild that could have been the situation. Yeah. So great stuff though out of the College World Series. Women's College World Series is getting ready to go, or we're getting to the nitty gritty. I know UCLA knocked off Oklahoma and they're playing their second game today, so that I believe the winner of that one moves on to the Women's College World Series. Had a lot of great golf this weekend. Minjee Lee won the U.S. Women's Open by 4 strokes. At Pine Needles, she got $1.8 million. That's the largest payout in the history of women's golf.
Yeah, and both championships this weekend were won by 4 strokes. Very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Quinn Snyder resigned as the coach of the Utah Jazz, so we'll see how what's-his-name feels about that. Donovan Mitchell Greg Norman called Jack Nicklaus a hypocrite for backtracking on the LIV golf. Tiger Woods turned down a huge deal. No, it's just a 9-digit amount. So you got to think Dustin Johnson got $120 million. Tiger's had to been over $200 million, right?
You would assume it'd be probably double that.
And you're talking about a guy who's really not healthy enough to continuously play competitive golf.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a name.
If it was 2 days instead of 3 days, he might have taken it. But that third round always gets him.
Yeah, it really does, man. And Kevin Na is the first player to publicly resign from the PGA Tour. So I'm really getting excited about we're going to get our first taste of it this weekend. Oh, and in the Xfinity Series, we had RJ Starcevich on with us Friday afternoon, and he pegged AJ Allmendinger to get the win on the road course in Portland. He did just that. So good call there from RJ Starcevich. Tonight, we've got the Colorado Avalanche and the Edmonton Oilers, Game 4. No Nazem Kadri. You got the Avalanche are up 3-0. Big wins pretty much throughout the series here. The goals have not been as plentiful as what they were in Game 1. Very similar to the Edmonton and Calgary series. Is it over, Caveman Rick? Is it over?
With Kadri going out, I'd like to say that it's not. Okay, he was a big part of that Avalanche offense. Being down just one guy with all the guns that they have, though, when you think about that, it might not be that big of a deal. They are going to be kind of ticked or, pissed, if you will, coming into this last game, though. So because of that, Evander Kane, he's going to have a target on him. Hopefully they won't just go for Kane and not, go for the win and, prolong this series. But
I think they'll get that out of the way in the first 5 or 6 minutes.
You might see that. He might even be out there on the opening face-off, and they might drop the sticks and the gloves right there and go out and get it out of the way.
It'll be a game, though, right, before. He got one game, didn't he?
Who?
Kane?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Kane?
Yeah, he got suspended for
a game before they go after
so he
him.
might not even play tonight, or they might not even get to him if they win tonight. So that's true. I didn't even think about that because of the suspension.
Well, what better way to shut a player up than send him home?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah, but I'm sure you're going to want your licks on him. You don't.
Yeah, but you don't lose a game just to get your licks on a guy.
No, you're not going to lose the game for that.
No.
But I'm sure you'd rather do it this week than have to wait till October.
Yeah. But it is hockey. I mean? They will hold that over. And they will make sure they get that.
That's the best thing about hockey is the players are still policing more than any other players.
Absolutely.
In the sport, right? Because you used to see it a lot in baseball. It's really back down now with all of the suspensions and fines. And 100%. Tampa Bay Lightning in their game last night did not even the series up, and now it's at 2-1. Game 4 is tomorrow night. Andre Palat hit a goal with 40 seconds left. A lot of mental fortitude in that game to go down 2-0 in the second period behind a pair of power play goals from Zibanejad. That dude, he don't look like a hockey player, but I'm making fun of his long hair, but
He's got me in the hair, but I got him on the beard.
Hey,
that's right.
Trouba's my favorite. Like, I don't want to say my favorite player on the Rangers. But I'm saying what Trouba does with the blocking, with the open ice hits. I mean, that dude is a monster.
Ryan Reeves pretty good too.
Ryan Reeves is pretty good too.
I'll tell you what, man, your team better look out. Vasilevsky, I think the Rangers figured him out, going on that high blocker side and getting him to move post to post. If they can keep doing that, and especially getting guys like Zibanejad open, lanes to shoot.
Especially when they're on the power play.
It's over. You guys are done.
We'll see, though.
Don't say that's if that continues to happen. Right. You guys are done. I don't think there's a way to come back from that because they got you guys figured out. Right.
But I mean, didn't you feel that way when the Rangers go up 2-0 in the second? And in my mind, I'm like, oh boy, this one. You know what I mean? Because if we lost that game last night, it's it. Like, we might win another game or two in the series, but that's it. But now to go down. Right, but to go down 2-0 and then to bring it back and win it right there at the end of the game, I think that, they kind of revitalized themselves last night and now have a stronger chance in the series, obviously, than what they did heading into Sunday.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Like I said, it's all going to come down to, who plays how and what they do. We've seen that the Lightning can, hang with just about anybody. So.
All right, man, we've got one more break. It's the local segment coming up. We'll be back in a few.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Dan Patrick Show.
We talk about experience. The Boston Celtics, they don't have any experience in the finals. Golden State lost 2 championships and lost them to rookie coaches, Nick Nurse and Ty Lue. We didn't say anything about that. And guess who's a rookie this year? Ime Udoka, who is the Boston Celtics head coach.
Dan Patrick.
Weekday mornings, 9 to 11, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hi, I'm Kevin Shady with KHS and Associates. We represent private insurance providers using multiple nationwide PPO networks for pre-negotiated discounted rates and no copays, no co-insurance, and no deductibles. If you're interested in a quote, give us a call or text 502-386-1128 and provide us your zip code and the ages and gender of those to include. Call or text us at 502-386-1128. That's 502-386-1128.
Dr. Chad Mitchell, orthopedic surgeon specializing in sports medicine and joint replacement of the knee, shoulder, and hip. He serves our local athletes and our community. Southern Orthopedic Specialist has been the leader in orthopedic care for over 20 years. New patients are welcome. Call 850-769-KNEE to schedule an appointment. More about Dr. Mitchell and Southern Orthopedic Specialist is available on their website, southernorthopedic.com. Southern Orthopedic, getting you back in the game.
Ellis Agency Insurance has been serving Panama City and Bay County for years. They offer a full line of affordable insurance coverage of all types. Many people are attracted to Ellis Agency Insurance because of their friendly, knowledgeable staff. Call independent agent Johnny Ellis for a true comparison of your personal or business insurance. Ellis Agency Insurance at the Old Cullen Insurance location, 1134 Harrison Avenue, across from Dandy Donuts and Deli. Call 763-1627.
Bay Handyman Services is your complete home services company. Their slogan is listen better, plan better, build better. Bay Handyman Services holds a 5-star rating, and they're a local company serving Bay and surrounding counties. They offer a wide variety of services, from simply hanging a picture to full house remodels. Bay Handyman Services provides 24/7 emergency services. Call them at 850-753-5014 or visit their website, bayhandymanservices.com.
When you want a big-time sports show, tune in for the Afternoon Underdogs.
I'm going to send you up against the best.
Weekdays from 4 till 6.
Negative, Ghost Rider.
Broadcasting from the Rib Crib Radio Room.
The need for speed.
On 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
The last segment today of the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes. We've got Caveman Rick, Boston Tim in the building. Big outing this last weekend for the Gulf Coast Crush. They were in the 2022 Perfect Game World Series, and they are the champions. They also have open practices coming up. 7U, 8U this Sunday, June 12th from 3:30 to 5:30, and 9 under, 10 under, 5:30 to 7:30. If you've got any interest in coming to play with the Gulf Coast Crush this fall, this is your perfect opportunity. You can reach out to Austin Foreman or Joseph Garner on Facebook. They run the Gulf Coast Crush organization. Great young men right there. A couple of stats with the tournament. They went 7-0 for the week. They scored 70-plus runs. They only gave up 13 total runs all week. So that's less than 2 runs per game. I've watched some video and footage from they are really building a strong program. Also, at Rib Crib, starting here in about 5 minutes. Y'all get down there right now because they are honoring the Rutherford girls basketball team from 6 to 8 in the Rib Crib private party room. They're the 2022 district champion, the 2022 Bay County champion, and the 2022 Elite 8 FHSAA state playoffs. As they made the state playoffs, so good on them. What a celebration they're gonna have tonight at Rib Crib. Make sure y'all get down there and check them out. And a big shout out, as I mentioned, to the entire team of the Gulf Coast Crush, Austin Foreman, Joseph Garner. They do a fantastic job with those young men. All right, only 2 minutes left here. What do you guys want to get into? Anything? How about Phil Mickelson is definitely going to be in the LIV event now.
Yeah, I mean they've come up with a number of great names, and the whole tournament seems a little bit different. And I kind of like the concept of it. You know, I like the 54 holes.
I love that.
I like that there's no cut, so you know no matter where you are in the 48 players standing, you still have an opportunity to come back. Now we know in golf there's a high probability that if you're 10 strokes back, you're not going to come back, especially now that we know that there's only going to be 54 holes instead of 72. So it makes that comeback a little bit harder. But we do know that in this particular instance, every single person on the ballot, all 48 people get to make a paycheck. So there's consistency in this particular league. So I do like that.
And a nice paycheck at that.
Yeah,
I'd take it.
$120,000 for the last
For a
place
weekend? Yeah, that's a good paycheck. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going high, and they're investing a lot in this particular league, the LIV league. They'll be putting $225 million worth of prize pool up over the course of 7 tournaments, and they'll have an additional 8th tournament, which will be a team matchup that they'll be doing. And just about half of those rounds and matchups will be here in the United States, so we'll know some of the courses that they're playing on, and it should be very interesting for us to be able to watch and catch up on.
Yeah, so it looks like if you place last place, obviously you make the cut and place last place in a PGA event, and obviously this depends on which event that it is, but at a Sanderson's Farm, and this was from a year ago, but a Sanderson Farms event, 14,000 for last place. So big difference in 14,000.
That's what the caddies will be making.
Right. Yeah. No, 100%. Wow, man, what a day. Thank you guys for riding with us. Boston Tim, Caveman Rick, thank you guys so much for coming in. We'll be back next Monday with this crew. Well, at least Boston Tim for sure. Tomorrow, J-Mac will be in the building. Your Minute with Max, all of that great stuff. We'll be back tomorrow at 4. Coach James Hale Show live at 7 a.m. You guys have a great rest of your afternoon.